All right. So I played in round five a few days ago, and it's actually my fourth game because I didn't get paired. I skipped one round voluntarily on round three or four, I don't remember. But this game, I was white, and I was facing a 15 something 100 player, and it was a really exciting game. I think it's probably one of the most exciting games I ever played, and it lasted 76 moves and nearly 4 hours. So it's really exciting. So let's see. So it's e4, c5. And then I didn't really expect a Sicilian because he didn't have many games in the database, but I played Aladdin as usual. d5, takes, queen d5, knight f3, knight f6, knight a3. And then here a6, bishop c4. He played queen d8. And then here, I played knight e5, provoking e6, d3, which is very interesting. Bishop e7. This is not a very typical position, I would like to point out, because after usually the main setup is to play d4, but I am avoiding all of this by knight a3 actually because I don't really like the main line. So I mean I'm not comfortable playing it. So yeah. So castles. So he played castles, and then I played bishop b3 here. Of course, the natural move is to castle, but I think after knight bd7, it's very difficult to. I didn't know how to put my pieces. b5 is coming sooner or later. Rook b8, b5. So I wanted to. I don't see the immediate need to castle either, so I play bishop b3. If b5, no, b5 is not possible because the rook is on a8. But let's say knight bd7, which happened in a game, knight c4. And I like this setup because the knight should belong on c4, and yeah, I really like this position. In the case of b5, no, still not available. Even if b5, I'll take on d7 and probably play knight e5. So knight takes bishop, knight back to d7. He tried to trade, but I think maybe instead I would prefer, let's say, bishop d6. That's what I was planning during the game. But perhaps he wasn't sure about knight c4, bishop c7, and he wasn't sure how to develop at all. So anyway, he played knight f to d7, and here took a bit of time, but not really a lot. I was trying to figure out like whether or not I'm better in this position, like slightly better, or I'm equal. And I played bishop f4. I also considered knight c4, knight b6, and then I wasn't sure what to do here actually, to be honest. But in hindsight, perhaps this might be good because he doesn't have b5 anymore, and I can just castle and then develop the bishop. Perhaps, but I didn't go for this. I went for um, bishop f4. So after bishop f4, he took on e5. I think he wanted to simplify the position. I wasn't sure what he was thinking. So and then he played bishop d6, offering further trades. And here I really took my time because I was calculating this d4 move, which is a very interesting move. If cd, of course, I take back, and this is excellent for me. I would think the bishop pair is pretty good. His sorry, weird arrows. And then his bishop is not really doing much. Not sure how he might develop. I might castle queenside actually, and then start the attack. Perhaps that's possible. But the main thing is, what if he just takes on e5, and then after d5, queen g5. At first, I was calculating queen c7, to which I may just go queen e3 and then just defend, like defend and put the pressure on c5. But I realized maybe queen g5, and then I started to get worried. Like, am I really going to play queen g3 and offer a trade? But I didn't really want to do that because I wasn't ready to like trade queens or something. And then I saw queen e4, but I didn't really like like because the point is after queen g5 I cannot castle queenside, and also castle and kingside seems a bit weird because I wanted to attack anyway. And if I don't want to attack, then I might as well trade queens and play the endgame with the d file. I will probably get hold of the d file, I think. So if I wanted the endgame, meaning that I don't want to attack, then I might as well play queen g3, but I wanted neither, so I didn't play all of this. I played bishop d6. Also, uh, if you if you want to play something like bishop g3, for example, that is also possible, but I didn't really see any points in doing that. Like, you just waste a tempo. Like, let's say he just continues, I don't know, queen c7 and then rook d8. How are you going to deal with that? It's not so easy. So I took, and then castle queenside. I think this is where the game really gets very interesting and very unbalanced as well, because the bishop actually is going to come out soon, which I underestimated this during the game. I thought it might stay dormant for a little longer, but my plan was to simply just go bishop c2 h4 and then just go for the attack. But here you play rook b8, okay, and then I just play d4. D4 I think is quite necessary. I would say, like, you have to open up the bishop, but you have to do it with tempo. So d4 is quite strong. The queen c7 he played, and then here I play bishop c2. Perhaps it might be interesting, as my coach pointed out to me after. Like, the engine move is dc, but this would be quite unclear. Like, maybe not like queen g2 rook a8. This is actually very good, but there are still risks in the position because, like, even though the rook is on a8, which is much worse than b8 if you're talking about attacking, but still, it is not that clear of a position. Like, how's the attack going? It's sort of slow actually on the king side, not that fast at least. So another idea my coach mentioned is queen g3, which I thought was quite interesting because you force the queen trade. Surely you force it. Queen g3, hg, and then, like, you have to take, like, basically I think is that you have the majority 3-2, and it is not that difficult to play. Like, here you're guaranteed having a 3-2 because c4 is not possible, and you have to take, otherwise I'll take rook d4, and then let's say, like, how are you defending all of this? I don't know, b5 or what? Like, how do you develop your bishop firstly? Also, I have ideas of rook h4, bishop c2, and it would be very difficult. So maybe this was also a try, but I don't know. I just felt very, like, I felt like I had a mood to play energetically that day. So I just didn't go for this. I didn't even consider it actually. I played bishop c2. My idea was that I'll play something like queen e4, and I will provoke a weakness on the king side, either f5 or g6. And either way, h4, h5 would be very interesting. And then, if in the case of f5, maybe e6 will be weak. And if the bishop leaves the diagonal, then I can attack e6. That was my concept. So c4 he played. And here I played h4. b5, we're just heating up. The attack is heating up. And here I played queen h5. If you play something like h5, bishop b7, your queen has nowhere to go. Like, where are you going? It's very funny that all the light squares are taken, and so you don't really have time to make a threat to induce a weakness. Also, I didn't play queen h5 here, or didn't play queen h5 or queen e4 because I thought maybe the threat is stronger than the execution. I just played h4 first because h4 is probably a necessary move anyway, sooner or later, and there's no hurry. But after b5, there might be like a hurry because let's say if you don't do anything, let's say h5. No, h5 we said doesn't work because you block the queen. But if you do nothing, then bishop b7, queen h5, and then g6. And I don't know, what can we do? Rook dg1 maybe? Maybe bishop b7. And you if you go queen h5, queen f4, check, king b1. And let's say f5. Is it f5 or g6? I don't know, hard to say. Maybe f5 is better here. And queen e2, trying to attack, but then queen e6. And it's still unclear, like, how you're attacking here, and b4 is coming really quickly, actually, so it's not that clear. So anyway, I didn't take the extra move to do something else. I just played queen h5 immediately. Queen f4, check, king b1, g6. And here I play queen e2, because my idea was I will play queen e2 after g6 or f5 to meet b4 with queen c4. This was the idea. But I think he probably saw something similar, and therefore he didn't go for this. But to be honest, he didn't go for b4. But to be honest, the position is very complex, and it's really not easy to think about what to do. Both me and him. Uh, Actually, in the game, I thought I was here after queen h5. I thought I was much better, actually, almost winning, and I wasn't really nervous. Like I wasn't that relaxed, but I wasn't that nervous either. But in fact, it's really not clear. The position is really unclear because black's attack is also significant. So after queen e2, he played bishop b7. And here, I started to get worried about my position. So let's say you play something like the natural move, let's say. Let's say you play like rook g1. But then b4, and you can't really start the attack because let's say yeah, you can't really start the attack because there's the pin, eternal pin. And what else? If you play g3, let's say, then let's say the queen moves somewhere, queen c7, and then the rook is hanging. And what do you do? Like rook h2, maybe, or something? I don't know. But then b4 is coming, and then h5. Maybe, maybe this wasn't very pleasant. I don't know for who actually. It's very unclear. I don't like there. It would be great if I can go rook h1, but the matter of fact is I cannot. So it's very unclear this position. Many tactics. Rook h2 is not possible. So I went for the very energetic rook h3. He didn't take the pawn. The engine says he should, and it's a bit better for him. But my idea was bishop g2, rook g3, and then after bishop c5, h5. And it's really not clear who's better here. Like who's faster, let's say. So I played rook h3. He fought for quite a long time here, and he played bishop d5. Played rook g1. Was like rook g1 was crossed my mind because I thought, okay, rook g1 and then g4. Like g4 is very tempting to play, and then let's say like I was calculating like h5 and g4 because like why would I calculate h5? Is because my idea after rook h3, like what I thought he would play is h5 to prevent h5, like to prevent me playing h5. But in that case, I would probably play rook g1. And then if b4, like he wasted a tempo on h5 already, so I'll play g4. So I started to think about, what about bishop d5 and then rook g1? But I realized that I'm too slow because b4, g4, and he doesn't have to play h5. And if he doesn't play h5, then I need to wait two more tempos, like h5 and then wait, and then like h5 and then take. So I would waste too many tempos. So rook g1 is not the move. So I just played h5 immediately. And he played g5. And rook g3, I was down to like, I wasn't sure, like maybe several minutes at this point. He probably had maybe 7 or 8, maybe a bit lower. I didn't play rook g3. I wasn't really nervous though because I was just playing on intuition, so sort of like not really entirely on intuition, but I was quite comfortable with my position, which is weird because usually I'm not that creative. Let's say like this is a very dangerous position. Actually, I can lose any time, but I know that I have no way, like I have no way to actually get out of it. And after b4, then I really started to get a little bit worried. Rook g4. Here I was calculating queen d2 or queen e3, trying to bail out with the position, but I didn't really see a good bailout. Like let's say queen e2, queen takes d2, rook takes d2, bc3, rook c3, and then let's say, I don't know, like trying to doubling rooks here is very difficult to hold. Also g2 was hanging, even though it wasn't really hanging. Like if you take then rook g3, right? And then it's it's basically a mess, and I thought if he's low on time as well, I don't really want to do such things. Maybe I should play on and try to hope for a mistake because I have the initiative anyway. So before rook g4, that was my original plan of rook g2, rook g4, and then trying to play f4, break the position. Rook g4, queen f6, and here my initial thought was to play queen d2, but I realized that after queen d2, bc, rook g5 doesn't work, king h8, and I have problems here. The queen is overloaded. And bc, I also cannot do nothing because my queen is attacked, b2 is attacked. I'm forced to take on c3, and then this position is very unclear. Maybe h6, f4, but it looks very good, but we're not really sure. Like he has ideas of his own, definitely. And let's say he just plays queen d8, queen e7 maybe. Like fg5, hg5. It is really unclear how you're breaking through this position here. Like how are you actually doing it? Queen g5, f6. Like it seems very perfect. Like usually you will have a queen coming here and then go infiltrating on g6, but somehow in this case it's all covered. So none of I even consider something like king a1, bishop b1, and then some sort of putting the queen back on c2 sort of thing, but all of it is just too slow. Black will play rook b6, rook f b1, and it'll be perfect for him. So either way, I decided that if I just want to take hold of this diagonal, then I might as well do it on e3, because now I don't need to think about it. Like perhaps even now I can maybe take on g5 and then king h8, and then maybe something like, I don't know, say h6. I think I was calculating h6, rook b2, and then like king c1. This kind of very crazy things, like trying to go, let's say rook a2, and then, oh no, I let f queen h6. I was rook g8, but the engine says that he can just do nothing and then take on a2 and then it's mate because here. And also the idea of rook g7, rook g7, rook h7 is not in time because rook a1 is coming. And let's say you play rook g7. which was my idea. Rook a1, and you have to block with the bishop. And once you block with the bishop is pinned, and so you don't have threats on h7. So this is very unfortunate and also very complex to calculate for me. So after bc3, I took on c3 immediately because I thought, okay, there's no hurry. If he plays h6, then f4, and then the same problems are there. But now I don't need to face, like, I slow the queen side a little bit. I slow it down a little bit, but still very unclear. The engine agrees with queen c3. Okay, he played. Oh wait, no. Uh. Oh wait, sorry. He played h6 first, f4, and then bc3. Sorry, but anyway, it's sort of quite similar. And queen c3. Yeah, the engine agrees. He played king h8, which actually in the game I thought posed very nice practical problems because fg. Okay, fg is forced. Like, what else you gonna do anyway? So fg, hg, and then queen g3 I played. It's very difficult to find a plan here. Like, how is the attack going to continue? I want the rook on f1 actually, but nothing can actually protect f1. Like, queen d3 is not possible. Like, queen f3 is not possible. Like, how are you putting the rook on f1 on the f file? Let's say f3 is covered. How are you going to f2 being defended? Like, if you play queen g3 with the idea of rook d2, rook f2, then queen f1 will be devastating, right? So it's very difficult. The engine, of course, says it's 0.00, but okay, sure. I think I was very down on time here, like, let's say 2 or 1 minute. Queen g3, rook g8, and then I played rook h1. I wanted to play h6, queen h6, and then I was very excited to play rook f1, which I thought was sort of winning because how do you stop queen e5? Like f6, maybe, but I didn't really see that much. I was very low on time. Like, let's say you just, I don't know, what can you do? Let's say queen, the threat is queen e5. So, yeah. And he found the move f5, which attacks the rook. And here it starts to get very dangerous for me. Queen e5, queen g7. And here, of course, rook g5 is in the air, but queen e5, rook g8, and g2 will hang in the end. G2 hangs in the end. So rook g2. And this is probably a slow death for me. I didn't go for this. I played queen g7, rook g7, and then rook. Uh, wait, sorry. Oh no, I didn't play queen g7. Sorry, I played rook g3 because I know that the trade is inevitable, but I don't want to do it. I want him to take on e5, and he took e5, g4. Here I understood that my position is really terrible, and I played rook d1, trying to play for tricks actually. If f4 my plan was, I don't know, is it rook c3 or rook a3? I haven't even made up my mind. But he played rook g. Actually, this was a psychological moment in the game. He pushed the rook to g7, but then he didn't let go of the rook. And in my heart, I was like, please don't play rook g5, because I thought if rook g5, I'm just doomed. Like, what am I going to play after rook g5? I didn't even know. But so I was like hoping, please don't move the rook from g7 to g5. But he landed it on g7, so I was very happy, and then I just immediately took on f5. This was the trick. But then I realized there's rook b7. He missed bishop f5, but he still has rook b7, and this is really, really tough to handle. Rook d2, and then takes, and I couldn't really take on d5, but I realized that actually I can. Like, now I realize that I can, because b2 is not really a threat. but in the game I didn't play rook d2 because of this reason. Because of course in your mind you're calculating. Let's say you play bishop g6, rook b2, king c1, and then bishop e4. I know not bishop e4. Let's say like here. Let's say rook a2. How are you defending things? And if you play something like I don't know what you can play. You have to save the bishop for some reason. Bishop g4, which happened in the game actually. Rook b2, king c1, bishop e4. How are you defending mate? No, sorry, not mate here. Mate is here on c2. So that's why, in order to avoid all of this, I was trying to calculate rook d2, but I just didn't see that. Like I was thinking perhaps here, if king c1, maybe some bishop e4, but there was no bishop already on e4, so it was a miscalculation. And with 2 seconds on the clock, I played bishop g4. Actually, in my heart, I thought I was completely lost already because rook b2, if king a1, c3 is just dead lost for me. So I played king c1, of course. And here I thought, okay, if you place bishop e4, then I am lost completely. How do we stop mate? But then I saw the incredible, just before he played, maybe like 15 seconds before he played bishop e4, I saw rook d8. And so bishop e4, rook to d8 check. And I was so relieved to have found this move and to know that I'm back in the game. Rook takes d8, and then king b2. But it's actually not over, and he's actually still winning because of rook g8. But this is the only move. Because there's really nothing to do with, like, this pin is eternal, completely eternal. He can just play a5, bring the king, and then some at a good moment play bishop to f5 and then win the exchange or win a piece actually, and then it will be completely winning. So here it would be dead, but he didn't play g8. He played bishop d5, bishop e2. This move I also played, I think, on 2 seconds on the clock. Rook f8, bishop f3. It's very difficult to assess this endgame. I mean, I didn't want to allow rook f2. Like in time trouble, you don't want any counterplay, so I didn't want to allow rook f2 anyway. So I played it. So bishop f3, rook c8. In the game, I was worried about bishop f3 because if rook f3, rook g8, g3, rook g5, I will lose a pawn. Even if gf, rook f5, and I lose a pawn. So here I was not really happy about bishop f3, but to my huge surprise, he played rook c8. And then king c3, a5, rook g6. Rook f8, take 6, rook d6, rook f5, e6. He cannot really take on h5 because e7, rook e5, rook d8 check, and then we queen. Rook e5, g4, just consolidating, king g8, h6, king h7, king d4, rook e2, king c3, king h6, e7. I think playing h6 was unnecessary for me, or perhaps I should say like h6 is good, but here I should play g5 and consolidate everything first. In the game after rook e2, I play king c3. The reason is I'm really afraid taking the pawn, which I was correct because here king e5, rook d6, rook d6, rook d6, king e6, and it's very difficult. Like we both get a queen again. But maybe here, rook d5 is okay, but I, I wasn't sure. Like, I was too nervous, just basically too nervous. But okay. Let's say this, and then h6. Yeah. Here I play king c3, king c3, and king h6, e7, trying to push the pawn further. But rook d5 would have been better. instead of e7. Rook d5, rook e6, king c4. Probably. Oh no, not king. King c4. Yes. No. Rook d4, d4, and some. No, you don't trade, right? Rook d4, rook e5. Somehow it's a draw, but I don't know. I think the main cause of the nervousness is because I don't know my rook endgames. So I don't know which ones I should go into. So e7, king g5, rook d5, check. I think definitely king. I don't know why king g5 allowing this taking with check. It's really mysterious to me. King g5, take on g4, rook back to d7. If rook a2, then I queen. Here, the move, he should have played his king to f5. Actually, or a4 for some reason. I don't know. I don't really understand like a4, king c4, king f5, and then how are you really exactly like getting through here? A3, king f6. Ah, okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. So the logic is that here, after rook d7, you need to know that an endgame without these is a draw. Of course, if you keep the a pawn, let's say on a3, it is a draw. And without this information, you cannot really assess rook d7. And in order to know that it's a draw, and actually, not only that, you have to see that the without the rooks as well as a draw. Otherwise, you cannot go into like you cannot assess that it's a draw. So, for my opponent, for him to play something like king f5, allowing king c4 a3, and then like the engine suggests like king f6 for example, allowing something like a4, and then you need to know that this is winning, no, draw, sorry. And but it is impossible to have this information with only we're only playing on the 30-second increment, so it's impossible. For me as well, the engine suggests a4, rook e7, king c4, king f4, rook a5, and you have to see that the king is a bit far in this position. The pawn is already on a4, but I mean, who can assess? So basically, rook d7, and then king f5 was played. King c4, king f6, a4. This all happened in the game. King f7, king b5, take rook check, and here rook d5, and rook a5 is of course forced. Like otherwise, how are you playing for a win? And then here is the critical position. This endgame is actually a draw, but I didn't know this during the game because I have terrible endgame knowledge, a rook endgame knowledge in particular, and I wasn't sure. But of course, I know that I'm playing for a win. That's what I know. Rook d8 is the best move. Rook d1 is the best move. a5, rook a1, king b6, and here's the critical mistake. He should have played king d6, and if a6, let's say, I don't know how. It's difficult to improve the position. Let's say rook b1, check, king a7, hide, and you play rook a1 back, and you cannot really play king b8 and go a7 because the a pawn is hanging, and if you play nothing, then king c6 will happen. So you play rook b1 check, which is the mistake. I don't know, not here, but like here, rook b1 check is the mistake. King c7, allowing king c7 because the king cannot approach now. The one tempo is very important. Rook c1, king b8, and now it would be too late because uh rook a1. I have rook b6 already, and king e7. Let's say a6, and the king is completely blocked off because the king is already on b5. My king is already on b8. Sorry, and rook c1. Here I calculated to the end already, even though I was still very nervous because sometimes in these endgames you have some tricks, and because of my lack of knowledge, I don't know the tricks. So I was still unsure. So rook c8, king b7, rook c7, king a6, rook c8, rook b8, and here rook c6, and here, okay, I was sort of sure already that king b5 is a win. And indeed it is, because there's no way to stop queening, and it was here on move 76 that he resigned finally. And what a game it was. What a middle game, what an end game, and many ups and downs, and really happy to have played this game actually. Really, really satisfying to play. So so yeah. So now I won 3 games, and probably the next round I'll face somebody with high rating, and hopefully I will win.